On the morning of October 25, 1944, a tiny American escort carrier group off Samar ran into one of the most powerful Japanese surface fleets left in the war. The Americans of Taffy 3 were built for support work, launching aircraft, protecting landings, and hunting submarines. They were not built to fight battleships in open water. But that is exactly what happened. Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita's force came out of the San Bernardino Strait with battleships, heavy cruisers, and destroyers, including Yamato, the largest battleship ever put to sea. On paper, Taffy 3 should have been finished. Rear Admiral Clifton Sprague had only small escort carriers, 3 destroyers, 4 destroyer escorts, and whatever aircraft he could get into the air. Then, the horizon filled with shell splashes. Sprague ordered his carriers to run, make smoke, and launch everything. Pilots went off with bombs, depth charges, machine guns, or sometimes barely suitable weapons at all. The point was no longer elegant tactics. The point was survival. At the same moment, the American screen did something almost absurd. USS Johnston, commanded by Ernest E. Evans, charged straight toward the enemy. She laid smoke, fired torpedoes, and opened fire on ships many times her size. Other ships followed. USS Howell attacked. USS Heermann attacked. The destroyer escort Samuel B. attacked so ferociously that she entered naval legend. This was the central shock of Samar. The weaker force did not behave like prey. It behaved like it expected the stronger force to flinch. And for critical minutes, that worked. Smoke screens cut visibility. Torpedo attacks forced Japanese ships to turn away. American aircraft kept appearing overhead, making repeated runs to disrupt formation and slow the advance. Some attacked with proper ordnance. Others attacked simply to force evasive action and keep pressure on the Japanese line. Every minute bought by the escorts gave the carriers one more chance to escape, launch, recover, and strike again. The Japanese still hit hard. Gambier Bay was crippled and lost. Other carriers were damaged. Shells landed among the escorts. The Americans were outgunned, outranged, and constantly at risk of being overwhelmed. But Kurita's problem was no longer firepower. It was clarity. Destroyers were charging in and out of smoke. Aircraft were arriving from different directions. Torpedoes kept forcing turns. Cruisers became separated. Reports conflicted. What should have been a straightforward pursuit began to feel like a confused engagement against a force larger and more dangerous than it really was. That confusion mattered more than raw tonnage. By late morning, Kurita broke off the action. That decision remains one of the most astonishing reversals of the Pacific War. A fleet centered on battleships and heavy cruisers had driven into a small escort carrier group and then turned away after being delayed, bloodied, and disoriented by destroyers, destroyer escorts, aircraft, smoke, and relentless aggression. The Americans paid heavily for it. Ships were lost, and the fight was desperate from beginning to end. But Taffy 3 helped protect the Leyte landings at the moment they were most exposed. That is why Samar still matters. It was not only bravery, it was the tactical power of shock, timing, and refusal to act defeated. Moments before zero, Taffy 3 looked doomed. Then, a few small American ships charged battleships, and the battleships turned back.